I knew something was wrong the second I pulled into my driveway. The porch light I always left off was glowing. My front gate was cracked open, and there were scuff marks on the doorframe like somebody had tried to force their way inside. My stomach dropped. Around here, we didn't worry much about burglars. We worried about something worse. The HOA president, a woman everyone whispered about behind her back. Karen. What she didn't know that night was that Max, my German shepherd, had been waiting for her. And by the time I stepped into my own house, she was already caught. You think you've seen HOA drama before? Trust me, this one will stick with you. When I first moved into Pine Ridge Estates, I thought I'd finally found peace. After 20 years of bouncing from one construction job to another, living out of motels and traffic jams, I wanted a quiet place to settle. The house I bought wasn't flashy, just a one-story brick home with a wide porch and a backyard big enough for grilling. Most importantly, plenty of room for Max. He wasn't just a pet, he was family. I raised him from a pup after he washed out of police K-9 training for being too independent. I liked that about him. Loyal, clever, and stubborn, just like me. Those first few days felt like paradise. I painted the porch railings, waved to neighbors walking their dogs, and sat outside at night with Max lying by my feet, ears pricked at every sound. I thought, this is it, finally peace. But peace doesn't last long when there's an HOA involved. She showed up on the third morning. A woman in a red blazer, hair sprayed so stiff it could have survived a hurricane, lips to match her jacket, clipboard tucked under her arm. She marched up my driveway like she owned it. Hello, I'm Deborah Morgan, president of the Pine Ridge Homeowners Association. Her handshake was a test of dominance, not a welcome. Her eyes darted toward Max on the porch, and for the first time I saw her smile falter. We do have rules about large pets, she said. I laughed, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. Over the next week, I found notices stuffed in my mailbox. My trash bin visible from the street. My temporary American flag unauthorized. And of course, Max barking at the mail truck. Now, Max wasn't a non-stop barker. He barked when something moved too close. That's called doing his job. But apparently Karen thought otherwise. At my first HOA meeting, she pounced. In front of everyone, she announced, "Several residents have complained about your dog. Large breeds can be intimidating." I raised an eyebrow. You mean the single bark at the mailman? Don't worry, I'll have Max apologize in writing. A few people chuckled. Karen's eyes narrowed. She didn't like sarcasm, especially in public. And that night she decided I was her enemy. From then on, she patrolled our street like a prison guard, phone in hand, snapping pictures of my fence, scribbling notes on her clipboard. Max would stand at the gate calm and watchful, and she hated that. I caught her peering through the slats of my backyard one afternoon. "See something you like?" I asked, coffee in hand. She flinched, then hissed about consistent community standards. I told her flatly, "The only violation here is you trespassing." Her lips pursed so tight, I thought she might implode. That's when I knew this wasn't about rules anymore. This was about control. And she wasn't going to stop. The fines rolled in. $50 for a trash can nobody could see. $100 for the wind chime my late wife had loved. She even cited me for the color temperature of my porch light bulb. I started saving every letter a folder of her obsession. At the next HOA meeting, she stood like she was addressing the Supreme Court. "Your German Shepherd creates an unsafe environment." "Unsafe," I shot back. "Max hasn't bitten anyone. He hasn't chased anyone. He sits behind my fence, same as every other dog. If he barked, maybe it's because someone was snooping too close." Murmurs spread, but when Karen glared, most people dropped their eyes. Then she hit me with it. "If you can't abide by the rules, maybe this community isn't a good fit for you." That smug line, the one she'd used to bully others out of their homes. That's when I overheard her whisper to another board member, "If he thinks he can ignore me, he's mistaken. I'll find a violation worth evicting him over." Weeks of harassment followed. She circled my property, snapped photos through my front window, even rattled my gate at night. Max would rumble low in his chest, always alert. I warned her once more, "Step foot on my property again, and I'll treat it like a break-in." She smiled that venomous smile. We'll see about that. And here's where I admit it, I started to break. Sitting on my porch one night, beer in hand, I thought about selling, about packing up and leaving. Maybe she was right. Maybe this community wasn't a good fit for me. Maybe I was the problem. That's the thing about people like her, they make you question your own sanity. But then neighbors started talking. Quietly at first. A veteran told me she fined him for flying a flag on Memorial Day. A family admitted she cited them because their kids' bikes leaned against the garage for 5 minutes. It wasn't just me. She'd been terrorizing everyone. They were just too scared to fight back. That's when it clicked. I couldn't back down. Not just for me, but for all of us. A week later, I had to leave town for 3 days on a job. Normally, I boarded Max. But this time, I looked at him sitting by the door, eyes steady, tail thumping once, and I thought, no, this time I need you here. I locked the windows, set extra latches, and told my neighbor Jim, she's bold. Don't be surprised if she snoops while I'm gone. Jim chuckled. Good thing you've got Max. The first night, Jim texted, she was poking around your porch. Max barked, she bolted. Second night, lights on near your place, didn't look like you. Max raising hell. My fists clenched. On the third day, the message I dreaded came. Pretty sure she went inside. Saw her slip through the gate. Max went silent after that. My heart stopped. She was in my house. I gunned it back to Pine Ridge, every mile dragging. By the time I turned onto my street, the sun was low, everything bathed in eerie twilight. My gate stood wide open, the porch light flickered, and the front door, ajar. Inside I heard it, papers shuffling, and then a low growl rumbling like thunder. I stepped into the living room and froze. Karen was there, blazer crooked hair, frizzed flashlight beam shaking as she rifled through my drawers. Clipboard still under her arm. And between her and the door stood Max. Muscles coiled, ears forward, eyes locked on her every twitch. His teeth weren't bared yet, but the growl vibrating the air was enough to shake the walls. Karen stammered, "Good dog. Nice doggy. I'm just here on official business." Official business. I nearly laughed. In my living room, she raised her voice, trying to sound authoritative. "I'm the president of this community. I have authority here." Max stepped forward, deliberate. She backed into my coffee table with a crash. "Stay back. I'll call the police." "Go ahead," I said coldly from the doorway. "Let's see who they arrest me for living in my own house or you for breaking into it." Her face went pale. For once, no smug comeback, just fear. Outside, shadows gathered, neighbors drawn by the noise phones raised to the windows. She saw them. "They're recording," she whispered. "Smile," I told her. "This is the inspection you'll be remembered for." Her mask cracked. She tried to bargain. "Mr. Lawson, let's forget about this. No fines, no inspections. I'll stay out of your way if you stay out of mine." I chuckled. "You don't get to negotiate after breaking into my house." Max shifted closer and she squeaked, stumbling back, her clipboard clattering to the floor. The mighty queen of the HOA reduced to a trembling trespasser trapped in the very home she tried to control. When the squad car finally pulled up, lights flashing across our perfect little cul-de-sac, the crowd outside erupted. Officer Daniels stepped in, took one look at her and at Max, sitting calmly by my side, and asked, "Ma'am, what are you doing here?" She launched into her performance. "This man's dog is dangerous. It trapped me. I was conducting an inspection. He set it on me." Daniels cut her off. "Inspection. In his living room. You have no right to enter a private residence. That's trespassing." The crowd murmured, some laughed, some cheered. Phones zoomed in on her face as she sputtered. I raised the thick folder of fines and letters I'd kept. "You mean these inspections? Because I've got a whole stack showing how far she's abused her position." Daniels flipped through them, eyebrows knitting tighter with every page. Finally, he looked up. "Ma'am, step outside with us." "You can't treat me like a criminal," she snapped. "You broke into his house. That makes you one." And just like that, the empire she built on fear collapsed. Phones captured every second as the officers led her out. Her reputation shredded, her power gone. That's where it ended for me. Watching her being escorted away, neighbors whispering, cheering quietly, Max steady at my side. The woman who thought she ruled this neighborhood reduced to nothing but a cautionary tale. So here's the lesson. People like Karen use power to control, to intimidate, to tear others down. But real strength isn't about fear. It's about loyalty, about standing your ground, about knowing right from wrong. And sometimes justice doesn't come from a courtroom. It comes on four legs with teeth, patience, and a growl that makes tyrants crumble. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with a Karen like this? An HOA nightmare, or someone who thought rules made them untouchable? Drop your story in the comments, because trust me, the fight's never really over.